Tonight, the Bridger Foothills fire in Gallatin County continues to rage. Officials report the blaze is still 0% contained. We'll bring you the latest. Plus, with just 2 months until Election Day 2020, we bring you the first part of a two-part series as our chief political reporter takes a look at the facts behind the rhetoric and the latest flood of TV attack ads. And later, social media saves lives. How one man's search for a kidney transplant led him all the way to his own backyard.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Thanks so much for spending your Sunday with us and your Labor Day weekend. I'm Matt Holzaffel. With just 2 months until Election Day 2020, Montana's closely watched U.S. Senate race is entering the home stretch. But as COVID-19 has severely limited in-person campaigning and candidate rallies, much of the battle between U.S. Senator Steve Daines and his Democratic challenger Governor Steve Bullock is being waged on the TV airwaves. Today, in the first of a two-part series, MTN chief political reporter Mike Dennison takes a look at the facts behind the rhetoric and the latest flood of TV attacks.
Governor Bullock entered this race with relatively good approval ratings, and a big part of the Republican strategy is to go negative and take that down. Like this ad from Senator Daines' campaign.
Bullock supports government-controlled health care and a carbon tax. He supports sanctuary cities for illegal immigrants. And he supports Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi's liberal gun control agenda. And he's ready to help them pass the largest tax hike in American history.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. But there's more from outside Republican groups, like this from the Senate Leadership Fund.
Bullock stacked his coronavirus relief task force with his own campaign donors, and many of them stand to benefit. News reports found just 13% of Montana's relief funding had actually reached small businesses and towns by late July.
And this one from the National Republican Senatorial Committee.
An ambitious governor who exploits Montana taxpayers, like the $14 million in state contracts paid to his brother's company, using state troopers as his personal security detail while abandoning his job to run for president. Bullock did find time to veto a bill that would have saved seniors $21 million on their Social Security benefits.
Let's start with that last ad. His brother's Butte-based engineering company did get those contracts, but that was long after Bullock's brother sold his financial interest in the company, although he still sits on the company board. The NRSC has provided no evidence that the contracts weren't properly awarded. State troopers did accompany Bullock on presidential campaign trips, as they do everywhere, under an agreement with the State Justice Department. Bullock agreed to pay the Highway Patrol's incidental expenses for out-of-state travel during his presidential campaign. And the $21 million? That was a tax cut bill that Bullock indicated he would veto, because he said the state couldn't afford it, and Republicans in the legislature passed it anyway. On coronavirus relief, about half of the 24 task force members appointed by Bullock to advise where the money should go have donated to his campaigns. And some of them own businesses that received relief grants, but they're a tiny fraction of the thousands of Montana businesses that have benefited. As for distribution of the money, nearly $300 million, or 25%, is now out the door, and hundreds of millions more have been allocated for schools, local governments, enhanced unemployment benefits, and other uses in the coming months. And finally, let's go through that raft of charges in the ad from Senator Daines' campaign. On health care, Bullock does support creating a public option, which would be a government-run health insurer to compete with private insurers, not exactly government-controlled health care. Bullock says he's never supported a carbon tax, although a climate solutions council he appointed may recommend one. Bullock also does not support sanctuary cities. He did veto a Republican-passed bill last year to ban sanctuary cities in Montana, saying it was unconstitutional and unnecessary because Montana has no sanctuary cities. On guns, Bullock does support universal background checks, including sales at gun shows, and a future ban on the sale of assault-style weapons. And finally, that largest tax hike in American history, that's presidential candidate Joe Biden's proposal to raise taxes on those earning more than $400,000 a year, a proposal that Bullock has not said he supports. With 2 months until Election Day, no doubt you'll be seeing more of these ads going after Bullock and his record. We'll keep reporting on where the candidates stand. And tomorrow, we take a look at a line of attack and support on Senator Daines' record on China. In Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Mike. And absentee and other mailed ballots will be sent to Montana voters just 5 weeks from now. Today was a much cooler day, and even bigger changes are on the way. Our meteorologist Grant Garland is here to tell us more. Hey, Grant.
Hey Matt, and good evening everyone. Yeah, we are looking at some major changes on the way in the next 24 to 36 hours. First up though, temperatures today were a lot cooler than yesterday when we were looking at 97-degree temperatures in Great Falls. Right now we are looking at 24-degree temperatures cooler to Great Falls, 73, 87 in Helena, 68 in Havre, 64 in Glasgow. Let's take a look though at what we're expecting tomorrow. So get ready for it. We're going to be seeing temperatures 30 to 40 degrees difference as we head into our first day of the work week. 47 degrees in Cut Bank, 48 in Great Falls tomorrow, 49 in Helena, and 52 in Havre. But currently right now with our sustained winds, 16 in Great Falls, 17 in Helena. Air quality moderate for those in Helena as well as Missoula, and clouds are starting to move into the high line. As we take a look, we are looking at a winter weather advisory that is going to be starting tomorrow at 6 a.m. and last to 9 p.m. Coming up, I'm going to break down the colder temperatures as well as the potential for some winter precipitation in the next few minutes. But for now, back to you.
All right, thank you, Grant. Well, you've worked all summer keeping your garden growing and your flowering plants in full bloom. But winter weather, as Grant just mentioned, will soon be upon us. MTN's Lindsay Hyatt tells us how you can make sure your prized plants are protected when temperatures drop this week.
With freezing temperatures in the forecast, how can you make sure frozen plants are not?
It gets down to freezing or just below freezing, you're going to want to protect them
with a blanket or covering of some sort.
You can put a blanket over them. You can buy a ready-made insulate blanket at the store or sheets that you might have on hand that you don't use anymore.
The amount of layers will depend on how many degrees below freezing it is and the degree to which you want to save your crop.
For the most part, our plants are going to handle anything down to about 30 degrees or so.
However, you'll want to protect your more vulnerable plants, like garden vegetables and flowers, by insulating those crops before the projected temperature drop.
You should put a blanket over them while it's still warm out during the day, so it kind of traps the heat in around the plants.
Or if your garden's ready to harvest, now might be the time to prepare for future growth.
Time to put in a couple inches of compost and till it in and be ready for the next year.
If you have any more questions on how to protect your plants during these upcoming cold months, head to KRTV.com. Reporting in Great Falls, Lindsay Hyatt, MTN News.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. Well, turning our attention to the latest coronavirus numbers from around the state, we're seeing just under 8,300 total confirmed cases at last check and just over 1,900 active cases. Cascade County showing 373 total cases with 174 active. Lewis and Clark County reports 207 confirmed cases, just 14 active there. Coming up, Habitat for Humanity continues to build homes for families in need across the world. One obstacle they have, finding land to build those homes on. We'll tell you more about one donation they got recently in Missoula after the break. Welcome back. Well, Habitat for Humanity continues to build homes for families in need across the world. One obstacle they have is finding land to build those homes on. MTN's Connor McCauley has the story.
Finding the property to build these Habitat for Humanity homes can be very difficult. Luckily for the group here in Missoula, one family decided to take it upon themselves to donate land to the organization.
I was at the senior center having lunch with some friends, and 3 of them worked for Habitat for Humanity, and they were saying they're always looking for land.
So Joyce spoke with her brothers and decided the land could be put towards better use.
We really don't need the lots, we don't need the space, it's something that someone else can really utilize and make a difference in somebody else's life.
Land donations are rare according to Habitat officials, and they hope this one sparks more.
I firmly believe that there are a lot of other people in this community who would like to do something similar, but they just haven't yet been asked or been shown a vision. And I think in the coming months, that's something we're gonna be reaching out to the community as a whole to see what else we can find.
Joyce says she loves to come by and see the progress that's being made on the home and can't wait till the family gets to step inside the finished product. In Missoula, Connor McCauley, MTN News.
This won't be the only home built on the land donated by that family. The next set of Habitat for Humanity homes will also be built on donated property.
Well, tonight temperatures a lot cooler, 41 degrees in Great Falls, 42 in Helena, and 40 in Lewistown. Don't go away. Our 7-day forecast is coming up next.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with Grant Garland.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you have had a pleasant Sunday afternoon so far. 73 degrees in Great Falls, 87 in Helena, 74 in Lewistown right now, and a little bit cooler up towards Glasgow at 64 degrees. Now, our winds, well, they have been breezy at times. 25-mile-per-hour winds in Great Falls, 28 in Helena, 24 up towards Havre, and around 35 in Jordan. And our winds will pick up tomorrow. We're going to be looking at 40-mile-per-hour winds possible for those in Helena and 30-mile-per-hour winds for us here in Great Falls. Clouds are already starting to make their way down towards the high line. Precipitation is still off towards Canada, but things are going to change. We are looking right now at a winter weather advisory for those all the way from Browning down towards Augusta, out towards Great Falls, and over towards Lewistown down to Helena. And pretty much this is suggesting that anyone that's at or above 6,000 feet, well, you guys are going to be able to see possibly up to 6 inches of snow. Now, this doesn't mean that those in lower elevations like us here in Great Falls that we won't see any snow. We could possibly see a snowflake or two, but I think it's going to be a very, very small chance. Most of us are going to see rain, except for those along the Great Divide. Right now, as we go throughout the day, tomorrow we are going to be looking at winds whipping up to 10 to 20, some 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. So heads up, it will be a breezy day tomorrow. We are also going to be starting to see a transition from rain to snow for those in the mountains. So let's go throughout the night. We're going to have our stationary front by around 10 p.m. Rain starts to make its way out towards the high line by that time as well. Going into the later evening hours, early morning hours, this is where we're going to be looking at most rain, but starting to see west of Cut Bank, starting to see that chance of snow starting to form, going to around 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. Most of us looking at a lot of rain. Snow also out towards Browning as well as Hart Butte. We're going to be seeing this rain pretty much impacting us all, possibly seeing up to an inch of rain in some locations. And again, that snow, most of it is going to be a wet kind of snow. Those that are above 6,000 feet seeing possibly up to 6 inches of snow, but for the rest of us, mainly looking at rain. High pressure then starts to build in as we go into Tuesday morning, and we're going to be looking at pretty much clear skies going throughout the next week after that. How much rain can we be seeing? Well, possibly getting up to around ½ an inch in Great Falls, just over 4/10 in Helena, just over 7/10 in Lewistown. But as our temperatures are looking at what we're seeing as we go into tomorrow morning, 47 degrees by around 7 a.m. Then we're going to see our temperatures take a dive by noontime, 43 degrees in Great Falls, 46 in Helena. Going throughout the night on Monday, we're going to start to see our temperatures really fall down into the low 30s, 31 degrees in Great Falls, 32 in Helena, before we start to see things pick back up. Now, you can always stay weather aware by following me at Meteorologist Grant Garland on Facebook and downloading that free KRTV KXLH app. Temperatures tonight, 41 degrees in Great Falls, 42 in Helena, 40 in Hayes. We are looking at our highs tomorrow, only 48 in Great Falls, 49 in Helena, 43 in Lewistown, and 54 in Glasgow. Temperatures as we head throughout the next 3 days, they are going to be staying well below the average for this time of year. Only looking at a possible chance, like a very slight chance to see some snowflakes on Tuesday morning. But those in Helena could have a little bit better of a chance, possibly only though 20% chance to see any snow that does leave the area by 7 a.m. Matt?
Well, social media can be used for all kinds of things. Some good, some not so good. But over in Missoula, this time it likely saved one man's life. After the break, MTN's Jill Valley takes us to the town of Plains, Montana, where one man's search for a compatible kidney donor took him all the way over the internet, only to end up in his backyard.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
Welcome back. Well, for all the criticism of social media, sometimes it actually does some good. Sometimes it can actually save lives. Here's MTN's Jill Valley with a story of how Facebook is helping a Western Montana man get the gift of a lifetime.
Sovereign Valentine is a personal trainer in the small town of Plains. 3 times a week, he drives here to Missoula for dialysis. His inherited kidney disease has done in his kidneys, although at first, he didn't even know how sick he actually was.
I've been a personal trainer for 30 years and did my nutrition really well all this time for 40 or so years, So it sort of offset the symptoms in a sense, and I didn't know that I was in complete kidney failure.
Just like his older sister who had the same genetic condition, he needed a kidney transplant. So he decided to advertise for one on his car and on Facebook, where he posted this simple message: "Kidney donor wanted." And man, did that work.
The response blew me away. Ultimately, we got about 106 donors. About 95 of those were from Facebook. The rest of them were from the car magnets. It totally changed my perspective on life.
The willingness for people to step up likely saved Sov's life, because finding a donor isn't easy. According to the website ORGANDONOR.GOV, more than 3,000 new patients are added to the kidney waiting list every month. 13 people die every day while waiting for a life-saving kidney transplant. And every 14 minutes, somebody is added to the kidney transplant list. So Sovereign is in the small town of Plains. He got more than 100 responses from around the country of people willing to see if they could be his living donor. But what Sovereign did not know was there was a woman, somebody he'd never met before, who was going through the process herself to see if she could be his living donor. But where in the world was this woman? As it turns out, right here in Plains, Montana.
We're all given a path in life, and this has always been part of my path. It's just time for it now.
Krista Standiford and her husband are pastors of Church on the Move in Plains. She'd never met Sovereign, but when she heard his story, something in her clicked.
And not just as a pastor in the community, but as an advocate, as a human in the town of Plains, I think that we should all do something to help somebody.
So after many, many medical tests, it turns out Krista was a match.
My value system says that it's not just an organ, but it's a piece of me. You get my cells, you get my whatever is attached to that. Need to make sure that that's something that works for him. There's a sense of gratitude that I have and that my family has because it gets to be us.
So this nationwide search for a donor ended up in Sovereign's own backyard. And it seems it was always meant to be.
This sounds crazy, but it's like we're twins almost. Like we were separated at birth. We have so much in common, interests, values, beliefs.
It felt so much better to know that we would be able to be a part and understand the person and the people that we were kind of doing this thing with. It's not for, it's with. We're kind of all in this together.
In Missoula, Jill Valley, MTN News.
Now, Sav and Krista head to Seattle in about 3 weeks for the transplant, and Sav will soon publish a book on Amazon that helps people find a living organ donor through social media. Well, the USDA has extended its summer meal program through the end of the year, or until funding runs out, a change that will guarantee meals for students at no cost to the families. MTN's John Riley has more on what this means for Helena families.
The Helena School District has been using a pre-order system for meals, given that students are only attending in-person learning part of the school week. The summer meal program extension will bring free meals to every child, regardless of their economic ability, and even if they're not in school. If they're 18 or younger, they qualify. Food Service Director Robert Worthy says it's a lot of work to suddenly and drastically change their COVID meal plan, but absolutely worth it.
I'm happy to make the changes. I mean, I spent hours and hours and hours trying to get this stuff to work, but I'm happy to make this change because now I can feed more children, where I know it was so complicated. Kids are having a hard time, and I know that kids were going to go without.
Pickup locations will be posted on the Helena School District website, and signs will be posted at each location indicating where food can be picked up from. Children not in school will be able to pick up meals for the week each Wednesday. The USDA will reimburse Seduxo, the school district food service provider, for every breakfast and lunch that goes to a child.
I still need to offer the distance learning pre-order because I have to be able to figure out how many people are going to show up. But I can give them 5 meals at a shot, and you don't have to worry about paying for it now. So if a family shows up and they have, say, 5 kids, and they're all distance learning, I can give 5 breakfasts, 5 lunches for all 5 kids, all at the same time.
Food items will be stuff like hot pizza, vegetables, milk, and fruit, but will have a reduced menu to begin with. Seduxo's current plan is to add weekend meals in October, but right now they just don't have the staff or the sheer amount of food required to make that a reality. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
All right, thanks, John. For more information, you can visit our website. We'll be right back.
Well, tonight temperatures falling down to 41 degrees in Great Falls, 42 in Helena, and 46 in Glasgow. Don't expect for warm temperatures tomorrow. It's going to be freezing for a lot of us, consider what we've been looking at. 48 degrees in Great Falls, 49 in Helena, 54 in Glasgow. We will, though, get down to freezing Monday night, 30 degrees, before warming back up to 58. We are looking at warmer temperatures as we head into the later part of the work week. Just heads up, we are looking at a rainy and windy start to our Monday and lasting throughout the day. Some of us could be looking at a few snow showers possible, but they will be less for Helena. Most of the best chance to see snow will be along the Rocky Mountain front.
If you're looking for those Bridger Foothills Fire updates, check out our website and tune back in at 10 o'clock. We will see you then.